This podcast may contain paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, your go-to resource for unraveling the intricacies of business and leadership, honing in on the essence of bootstrapping a business from scratch. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a dedicated bootstrapper, or a leader navigating life's various challenges, this podcast is crafted just for you. I'm Isaiah O'Connor, your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, and my mission is to guide you towards personal and professional growth. Let's embark on this journey together. Okay, everyone, welcome back. I'm sorry I'm about 2 days late. It's been a little bit chaotic during the spring break, Easter holidays. I live in Norway, and suddenly I find myself with a full household 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the entirety of a couple of weeks, and it's made it very, very hard to get away and record because I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're both boys, and yeah, good luck getting him to be quiet for Daddy for about a half an hour, 45 minutes before he can start recording. So yeah, good luck on that. Anyway, so I did get a chance to go ahead and update and edit my blog post on today's subject. So I at least got that done. This will all go up as soon as I get a chance. So again, sorry for the delay. And I do apologize. I am very tired. I'm still a little bit stuffy, but hopefully that will go away. I think, though, this time it's now that I'm not sick, but now I've got allergies. So, hey, springtime. Fun. Anyway, let's jump into this. So today we're going to continue revisiting the required secondary powers theme. And today's theme is a teachable spirit. So, before I get into that, real quick, touching on what are required secondary powers. Long story short, required secondary powers are extra powers that you need to have for your main power to work. I did a whole introductory podcast on this, explained the whole idea. And just an example, if you have super strength, it doesn't do you much good if what you're standing on doesn't have a lot of strength. So, say you've got super strength and you want to push a big something or other, say a big car or something, big heavy tank or something on it, but you're standing on ice, you push really hard, but if you don't have some sort of super grip that can make you stick on the ice, you'll just slide away and the object will just stay put. So that's the idea. And the idea is, it's kind of my fun way to talk about how, as an entrepreneur, as a bootstrapper, you have a few core capabilities, can't think of the word right now, but you have some core things that are like your main superpower. Usually your primary product or service, plus a couple other things. Like for me, one of my superpowers is making balloon animals. I can make kids happy with them, and I'm pretty good at selling stuff. So that was kind of my superpowers, but I need these other things I'm going through to actually succeed. So let's jump into starting with having a teachable spirit. Why is it important to have a teachable spirit and learning? Because if you're not willing to learn, if you're not open to being taught, and if you're not humble enough to accept criticism and change, you will never grow. You really need to be able to be taught in order to grow. Now, as an example, when I was living back in Lake Tahoe in California, I grew up in that town. I pride myself on being able to find anything anywhere in that town. Okay? As a teen and young adult, I could go any back street. I could find my way around every tourist trap. It was a tourist town, so there'd be days there's dead still traffic on the main street. I could find my way all the way around and easily get anywhere I want to go without having to fight traffic. So I thought it was pretty good. However, my pride and confidence took quite a hit when I got a job delivering pizza. My hometown, delivering pizza. Okay? I know my town really well. Well, on one of my very first shifts, I found a delivery address that I could not find. It completely stumped me. I went up and down the street multiple times, and I knew the street very well, and I could not figure out why I couldn't find the address. So I finally went back and asked for help, and they explained what happened in the restaurant. On the map, it looked like it was a straight street, but in actuality, the street dead ended. There was like an empty lot, and the street continued it again on the other side of the empty lot. So in order to get to that address, I had to kind of go around and come back, kind of a detour, to get back onto that street and go up. My entire life there, I had no clue that street went all the way up with that block of empty lot in the middle. Not a clue. So, after that rather large slice of humble pie, I realized I needed to learn more about my own town, and I went out and got GPS just to make sure, because I needed the GPS to make sure that didn't happen again. Now, so if you notice that part of this is you have to be humble to be teachable, and matter of fact, humility is another essential power, which I will come back to here in a moment. But I was watching a video and I came across a story of a really cool guy, a World War II double ace pilot named Robin Olds. He shot down, I think it was 13 planes. You need 5 planes to become an ace. He was over a double ace, which is just amazing. Well, he went on to serve in Vietnam. There were some issues in Vietnam, and they brought him in to kind of train the recruits and come up with a way to solve some problems they were having. Now, he's a experienced, 44 years old, colonel, double ace, super experienced guy that has been brought in specifically to train these kids how to dogfight. And what's the very first thing he did? He realized that he fought in prop planes. He was in P-51 Mustangs and something else, I can't remember, but prop planes. A far cry from the Phantom jets that they were using now. So what did he do? He immediately placed himself on the flight schedule as a rookie. He willingly put himself as a rookie under the officers that were below him in rank so that they could train him to fly this plane correctly. So he had much more experience overall in fighting. He had combat experience. And he had these guys, these junior guys, these kids, teach him how to do it, because he was amazing and he had just such an incredible teachable spirit that he was willing to learn, even though he was there to teach, which is just an amazing guy. So that brings me to exactly how to cultivate a teachable spirit. And there are several key things you can do. You can look it up online. I Googled. There's lots and lots and lots of different pages and blogs on how to cultivate a teachable spirit, but we'll tackle some. First and foremost is, as I already explained with Robin Olds, is being willing to hear other people's input and avoiding becoming a know-it-all. Right? Robin Olds, he could have been a know-it-all. He could have been a jerk about it, but no. He showed himself willing, caught out the know-it-all act, and then he was right to change his opinion if he was proven wrong. Now, that's another thing. If to be teachable, you have to be able to change your opinion when you're proven wrong. And guess what? Change your opinion when you're proven wrong is a really, really hard thing to do. Matter of fact, if everyone could always accept and change their opinion when they were proven wrong, politics and the way countries are governed would be completely different. Additionally, being receptive to criticism and avoiding defensiveness when corrected is crucial for growth, though admittedly very difficult. Especially if the person who's criticizing you and correcting you is someone from close sources like your family, or, which is hard to do, from your spouse, perhaps, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other. They can also be really hard to listen to, and they probably know you better than most people. Now, it's really also highly important, it's absolutely vital to apply the principle number 5 from the amazing book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And that 5th principle is seek first to understand, then be understood. Now, one effective way to achieve this is through active listening. And active listening, again, Google active listening, and you'll get page after page after page after page. It's really good. Go read them, okay? But in a nutshell, it's this skill that involves you listening for understanding without distractions, without checking your phone, without your hand on your phone. Think about the next meeting, thinking about what's for lunch when someone's talking to you. You have to be present in the moment with the person you are talking to. And you'll also need to refrain from coming up with an answer while they are speaking. Very, very hard to do, especially when you're fighting with somebody or upset with somebody. Especially, again, back to close relatives, significant others, etc. It's really easy where someone's talking to you, and especially if they're correcting it, you want to come back with it. You want to, they said this, and now I'm thinking, what am I going to come back with? And they said this one. No. If you're thinking about what you're saying next, you're not hearing what the other person is saying. You also need to be able to talk to the other person and repeat back what you hear without mocking them, to just clarify, make sure you understand each other. Now, if people could do this, and if this was an easy thing to do, just actively listen and understand the other person before you try to get yourself understood, then I think that would really, really improve relationships. And quite honestly, I think divorce rates would drop significantly and marriage rates would go up, because people would get married to their spouse, to their boyfriend or girlfriend, significant other, really a lot more if they weren't fighting and breaking up all the time because they don't know how to listen. And of course, for me, one of my biggest struggles is to resist the urge to talk excessively. And that's something I've struggled with my entire life, which is why I also recognize the importance of learning becoming an active listener, because this is one of the hardest things to do for me, is being an active listener. And all my friends and family know I talk a lot, and I'm trying to refrain. And that's part of the reason I do the podcast, is it gets it out of me, being able to talk a lot. Now, we're going to continue on here in just a moment. But first, we're going to go ahead and go to the mid-podcast break. Hopefully, do bear with me. It'll probably take me another couple of weeks before I get a chance to sit down and edit some sort of sting in and out on this. I'll work on it. Hopefully, I'll get some time here soon. But anyway, on to the mid-break. Okay, welcome to the mid-break of the episode today. So we don't have any new patrons or any new Apple 5-star reviews. So we're not going to read those out because they don't exist right now. But that's fine. It's okay. Now, remember, if you post a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, I will read it out on the very next episode I get a chance. So if you say you post it maybe on a Saturday or Sunday, it might not make it to the podcast on Monday, because odds are I've already recorded that podcast already, or not, depending on the weekend. But chances are I might not get to it that week, but the very next chance I get, I will read it out. Same with all Patreon members. First, if you join Patreon on either my Bootstrapper community tier, the Bootstrapper, not any of the tiers, if you sign up at all, any new patrons I will shout out during this time. And then any member on the Bootstrapper Entrepreneur tier, which is my top tier there, they will be shout out and read out every single week from here on out. So just let you know, you will get a shout out. Now, as for the Patreon membership, I did make a big change here. I've decided that until the community gets a bit bigger, I'm going to make the Discord server absolutely free. No trial, no $5 a month, no nothing. You can just join us on Discord. I got to figure out how to share that the best way for the Discord link, but you can always reach out to me on our Facebook page, or you can send me an email at o'connor.entertainment@gmail.com. You just reach out to me. I will get you a link to the the Discord server so we can chat, so we can talk to each other and help each other out. So that's a big change. And another thing is, if you need more help, basically with my entrepreneur membership, I'm going to jump to the top tier membership. I offer a couple of services which are basically kind of like a coaching service, but a lot less expensive. So if you need some help getting your business off the ground, if you want to start a business, you're not quite sure how to or what you can do, you want to start your own business, but you don't know what you can do to start a business, this tier is for you. Because with this tier, you get all bunch of stuff on there, but the main thing I want to talk about today, it's the finding your value service. And what's the service? It's if you want to become an entrepreneur, but you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, or what you have that you can market, this is kind of my service where I help you find out what things you can do to change into a full-on service. I have a questionnaire, straightforward, fill it out, I will read through it, I'll schedule a call. You get 2 calls. The first call, I'll go over the questionnaire with you, get to know you better, and talk a little bit about what's going on, what your goals, dreams, etc. are. And then about a week or so later, depending on scheduling, we'll have a second call, and I'll offer some suggestions on how to leverage what you've learned, what you are, who you are, to help you create a product or a service that others will pay for. And the cool thing about this is I try not to be cookie cutter about it. It's like when I went to college myself, walked in, what do you like? Computers? Okay, do the computer degree. And that was about the entirety of my conversation. They didn't talk to me about anything else. Like, maybe I should have just gone into and taken some business classes. That might have been better if they bothered to get to know me. But no, they didn't even bother. Like, oh, you like computers? Okay, yeah. Okay, then you should do computers. Didn't work out so well. I do like computers. I'm good with computers. But their computer degree at the time was just programming, and I wanted to fix and build computers, not program them. So it was not a good match, and they didn't catch it because that's not what they cared about. So this is a little bit different. This is, oh, you like computers? Great. Are you good at them? I'll work on it. We'll work together to try to figure out something. And you get this service. It's $50 a month. You get this 1 month, and ongoing, I will help you with more stuff as we go. So that's a pretty cool service. And then the other one is what I call the Business Boost service. And this is if you are a business owner and you're struggling to grow or trying to enhance your established business. Now, this service is for you. Me and my partner here on the Athos website, Jason St. Clair, we will work together to evaluate your business and try to find ways to give it the boost it needs. We'll do a one-on-one call, look at your website, look at your social media presence, look at your marketing plan, look at your business plan, etc., etc., etc. And then we'll work on it together with you to figure out what changes you can make to make your business better. Maybe you need a rebrand. Maybe you need to cut a product, add a product. Maybe you need to market more. Maybe you need a website. All this stuff, we will help you figure it out. All this, $50 a month. Pretty cheap, quite honestly, for kind of a business counseling coaching package. And it's just on the Patreon. Anyway, I think that's all for now. We need to go ahead and you on with the podcast. Sorry, my computer just flipped out there. Okay. To continue on with the podcast in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, now let's continue on. So I'm going to jump into a little more easier strategies to build up a love for learning, because the other stuff I talked about before the break were challenging because it's really hard to humble yourself and take criticism, to put yourself in a place where you need to learn from someone else. Those are kind of core things that humans don't like to do in general, from my experience, and that includes myself. So how about some easier, more concrete things we can do? Well, first of all, read. Okay, there you go. No. Reading is so important. Matter of fact, how many books? I've seen different numbers, different people with different conclusions, but there's one thing that I've seen in my research, and I even did a podcast about it, which is reading extensively is a very, very common trait amongst the most successful people. And most of these guys focus on nonfiction. However, if you're going to read, don't discount the value of fiction. Some books are fictional nonfiction, as it were. For example, the story The Go-Giver or The Go-Getter, they're fictionalized stories, but they are purposely teaching skills, but presenting it in story form. But then you can also learn about other stuff from fiction. For example, personal favorite, Lord of the Rings. If you want to know what good leaders like, perhaps look at Aragorn or Gandalf. So you can actually learn things from fiction as well, like straight up fiction. So read. The more you read, the more you can learn. I mean, I've learned stuff from reading the old Sherlock Holmes stories, the canon original Sherlock Holmes stories. Some of it's kind of outdated, but just the observation and picking up on things, it helps. So read. It's an important thing to do, and the more you read, the more things you can it encourages you to learn. I'm just saying. And then, if you need to also look into studying stuff that you love. For example, say you love gardening, okay? And so you read up and you study gardening. And as you study gardening, perhaps you need a fence. And you want to build a fence. You can't afford to pay someone to it. So you go ahead, you look up some YouTube videos, you go to the library, you go to Google, you do something, and you learn how to build a fence. Now, you're doing gardening, but wow, that was fun. I just built a fence out of wood. Maybe I can start learning how to woodwork. And so you start learning how to do woodworking. And as you start doing woodworking, say you come across, oh, I need something stronger than wood for this project, and I will learn how to work with metal a little bit, etc. So if you have one thing that you really love, dig into it. It doesn't have to be business related. Dig into it. It will help you learn more and more tools as you go. And it could be a garden, or it could be nuclear physics that you study just because you like it. Because if you're like me, you're just a nerd like that, and you do. But just read, study, dig into the things you like. Because the more things you like and you dig into and you learn about because you love it, that will actually teach you how to dig into things about your business, about different things, about building up. It really does help a lot. And then another thing is, when it comes to reading, just real quick, almost forgot. I got to clean up my notes here a little bit, but you might not have time to read. I've got 2 kids. I've got a household. I've got a whole bunch of projects that I'm working on. I've got to do tax stuff. I've got to do all this other stuff with my business and work and all this stuff going on. I don't have time to read. So what do? Audiobooks. Download and listen to audiobooks. Inexpensive. You can listen anywhere, and it really, really helps. So, to kind of wrap up here, just remember something else that is very essential to becoming a lifelong learner, which is that even if you're an expert in a field, that does not mean you know everything about it. Matter of fact, I've never met anyone that knew absolutely everything about their subject. I sure don't know everything about balloons. I'd make balloons for a living. I've done balloons for 10 years. I'm still learning about balloons. I'm learning about business. I've been doing business for 10 years. I'm still learning business. There's so much to learn. And to quote Beethoven, I love this quote. He said, "Don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets, for it and knowledge can rise men to the divine." So that's really kind of hits hard, that you push hard, you get better, you push hard, you get better, and you're learning all the way along the way. Now, to wrap up this relook at being teachable and having a teachable spirit as a required secondary power, remember, it is a lifelong journey. You should be able to be learning your entire life. I've met people and they're just not interested in learning, and they kind of just stagnate. They're not moving forward, they're not moving backwards, and they're just kind of stuck. So you got to push your whole life. And part of it, you got to be, open to growth. Open to growth. As you grow, as you want to grow with your business, you want to grow personally, you got to be humble. You have to be open to feedback. You need to be able to listen actively. You have to embrace being curious and continuously seeking knowledge on everything you can. And this will help you reach new heights in learning and in your business. And remember, I'm going to kind of end with this, which is Albert Einstein, another great quote. He said this: "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." Now, here we are, very end. Just a little thing about next week. Our next podcast will be focused on the kind of like the partner of having a teachable spirit. Matter of fact, it's the fuel for a teachable spirit. Matter of fact, it's kind of like this required secondary power to a lot of the other required secondary powers, which is humility. I talked about that a lot already in this episode, but we're going to focus on humility as a required secondary power next week. And before I go, I'm going to start doing this at the end of each podcast. I'm going to ask you a question of the week. So, and if I would love you, I want this to be conversation. I don't like just monologuing into the mic. That's part of the reason I kind of stopped for a couple of years, because I don't like the monologue. So let's think about this. How important to you do you think having a teachable spirit is? And how do you work on becoming more teachable? How do you help build up your curiosity and your thirst for knowledge? I really want to know. That's the question. What do you think it's important? And then if you do, how do you develop it? And if you don't think it's important, why not? Hey, I want to hear about it. If you can reach out to us, you can join us on Patreon. You can join us on our Discord server for free now, for the next couple of months at least. Or you can connect with us on our Facebook page. You can email me. There's so many ways you can connect. Please go ahead and connect, and I will address these. If I get a lot of people answering, perhaps I'll answer and talk about what you say on the next podcast. Anyway, I've been your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. If today's episode added value to your day, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and consider giving us a stellar 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, or more. And remember, if you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, I will personally read it out in the next episode. To support the show, you can make a one-time gift by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/bootstrap, donate through PayPal at paypal.me/IOCPOD, or make a contribution on our Patreon page at patreon.com/IOCPOD. Your support keeps the episodes coming. For even more content and exclusive perks, join our Patreon community at patreon.com/IOCPod. Patrons enjoy ad-free episodes, access to our private Discord server, early content previews, and a lot more. And here's an exciting offer. Get your free trial of our $5 a month Bootstrapper Community Explorer tier. This exclusive tier grants you ad-free content, Discord server access, and early content previews. Join us and be part of the inner circle. If you're feeling more generous, those who join tiers $25 a month and up will have a chance to be a featured guest on this podcast. A massive thank you to Wintergotten for generously providing the incredible intro and outro music at no cost. We appreciate their support. Be sure to check out Wintergotten's amazing work on YouTube at youtube.com/@Wintergotten. Until next time, I'm your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor, signing off. This is the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, brought to you by Athos Business Solutions. For our companion podcast, the Athos Business Podcast, hosted by Jason St. Clair, along with past episodes and related blogs, visit our website at athos.com. That's ATHEOZ.com or theoz.com. Goodbye for now.